Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Lunch with Alsace live. Oh my gosh, it's been so much time since I've been on a live on Instagram, and I'm so excited to be back. We have an absolutely fantastic producer, so I'm going to go ahead and pin a comment. And while I wait for her to come on, thank you all for joining us. This is super fun and super exciting. It's Women's History Month. I hope you all have appreciated all of the women in your life and told them how fantastic they are and how much you love them so much. I'm going to pin this comment. I almost forget how to do these things. My goodness. It's been so long. There we go. There we go. Not looking so spring, but I feel like I brought you some flowers to get into the feel of spring. We're almost there. We're almost there. The flowers are starting to pop up, and our guest is here. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Oh, bonjour.
Bonjour. Hi, Carrie.
So happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. So, people are jumping on. This is fantastic. Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, this is what happens when you don't do things for a while. People get very excited when you do them again. So again, welcome everyone to our very special Lunch with Alsace. I do chat. I'm honored to kick off the 2023 series. We haven't done one yet in 2023 to promote Nosim Alsace and the Alsace AOC region. And as I mentioned before, in honor of Women's History Month, today I will be chatting with Mélanie Pfister. She is winemaker extraordinaire for her family estate in the Bas-Rhin Domaine Pfister, and it is a domain that produces terroir-driven wines. So we're so excited to learn more about that. A little background on Mélanie. She officially took over the estate from her father in the 28 vintage after completing not one, but several amazing internships from noteworthy wine estates. I don't know if you've heard of some of them. Zin de Umbrec, Mayo Camazet, Cheval Blanc, Chateau de Chem. Oh, and Craggy Range. Maybe you've heard of some of them. So under the careful watch of her father in 2005, Mélanie made the first cuvee, which was called Cuvée 8, and it was named after the fact that she's the 8th generation winemaker in her family, and they did change the name, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So Mélanie knew how she wanted to make and handle her wines, and so beginning with that 2008 vintage, she began doing just that. So I will not go on any further, and we will let you talk to us about who you are, introducing and a warm welcome to 8th generation Alsatian winemaker, Mélanie Pfister.
Thanks, Carrie. And I'm happy that so many people are joining us today. So you did a pretty well-made introduction, and I just want to complete about the domain. So it's a long history domain, as you mentioned. So the first Pfister started to produce wines here in 1780, and here is in Dallenheim, and Dallenheim is in the top north of Alsace. So on the map you see behind me, it's in the top yellow things here, closer to Strasbourg than Colmar, actually. And we do grow 10 hectares of vines, which is an average size today for an independent winemaker in the region. Based on limestone soils, you know that Alsace is a patchwork of soils. Geology is very diverse from one side to the other, and we have mostly limestone, different types of limestone. The wall behind me is made of stones, and this one was built in the 17th century.
Wow. So geographically speaking, you were mentioning the map behind you. So you're in the Bas-Rhin, and so that's a bit more north?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but that is normally down, but it's it's compared to the Rhine River, and the Rhine River is going up north, and so we're in the north.
In the north. Okay. And
Yeah.
so tell us, you were talking about the Rhine River, but tell us about the proximity of this state regarding the terroir. You mentioned the limestone, the proximity of the mountains. There's a difference between where you're located then on, the Vosges mountain range. And how is that different?
True. So most of the vineyards in Alsace are very close to the foothills of the Vosges. Our part of the northern Alsace is a bit detached from the Vosges mountains, making that we are growing our vines on rolling hills, less steep than further south, but everything is on hills. Because here diversity of crops, of cultures, is maintained. So nowadays, lots of farmers here in the region have vines, but also crops like corn, wheat, other things. And so in the flatland, you have that kind of things. And when it starts to go steeper, you'll find vines. And that's where we do grow our vines.
Okay. All right. Cool. And tell us, you had mentioned a bit more of the history. So let's go into eighth generation winemaker. We don't have time for all of it, right? So, you're the eighth generation. So your family's on the estate, been the winemakers, and then somehow you go from that until now we're in the modern times where you're changing some things for the better. So tell us more about that.
Of course, it's changed quite a bit. The historical house still stands, but how we work definitely changed. And so it's mostly after World War II that things changed in Alsace, because history in the region was quite tumultuous. And so it's yes. My grandfather, after World War II, started to boil his own wines. Before that, wines in Alsace could be sold in barrels, which is not the case anymore. Alsace flute is the mandatory thing, bottle. And then my father developed the vineyards. Really took a lot of time to take care of the vineyards, and then he also started to make wines in stainless steel. And today we have different types of vessels. We do lots of single vineyard winemaking, and that's how it works. Of course,
you have some amphora too, do you not?
Right. That's quite new. We had barrels mostly for reds, and now I added some amphoras to see what oxygen could bring without being too much oxygen, and so it's still experimental.
So not too much oxygen, so no carbonic maceration or anything like that.
No, that's it's mostly for the aging of whites and one red and one orange wine too.
Ooh,
but just going back to history, of course, it was always transmitted from father to son. And my parents had 3 daughters, and that was, for my grandfather, that was really disappointing.
No.
But my father was really happy with that, because having 3 daughters, he never pushed any of us, and my mom neither, to take over, and we were free to study and to work in the branch we just liked. And that's why I was happy to choose that, and it's my passion that I finally joined that.
It runs in the veins and the blood. Yeah. That's awesome. So as it is Women's History Month, and we're celebrating all things women, I think it's so appropriate not only to have a woman winemaker, but also one that grew up with 2 other siblings that are women as well. Tell us a bit more about how things may have changed in the wine world, or any, was it a smooth path for you being a woman, the first generation woman winemaker? Was it difficult? What were the challenges, and how were you able to grow into your own winemaking philosophy?
During my generation, it was probably easier than in my father's generation. And the proportion of women in the industry does really grow and still grows. During my studies in my enologist degree in Dijon in Burgundy, we were 50-50, 50% of women studying enology.
Wow.
Of course, not all of us finally joined the production side of the enologist degree, but that was a sign that it was moving. Yeah. And finally challenges were here, but not necessarily so difficult or tough we could think from the outside. I mean,
well, you had the support of your father.
Definitely. And also today we're not alone on our estate. We people help us. We have workers, and if some works are too difficult from strength, we're helped, and most of the things still can be done by women, and that's a really good thing. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Women power.
Awesome. Well, and of course, you know, as I mentioned before, your father did certainly support you, and that's very helpful when you have that coming up, that you have someone that's done that position, done the job, and also knows how to mentor you into being successful. That's the whole point. So your father had slowly started to convert the family estate into organic in the 1980s, but you've both continued that kind of movement. How have you continued to embark on 100% organic viticulture, and are your wines 100% organic?
Yeah, today wines are 100% organic. And my father started really early in the 80s being in what we call no-till viticulture, so kind of regenerative viticulture.
Okay.
He was doing cover crops, different kinds of radish, carrots.
Among vines?
Between the vines, yeah. Because he considered at the time that having only vines and grass was not enough. He wanted to, he looked for biodiversity, but also, and the main reason was to implement more life in the soil. And that was the main purpose. And it really worked because we have lively soils, and naturally the next step was being organic and now working biodynamically. Yeah, that's how the transition was done.
Oh, so are your wines certified organic or certified biodynamic, or is it just the work that's being done in the vineyard itself?
They're certified organic, okay. And we work biodynamically, but without certification.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Cool. Shall we get into the wines?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have three. We have 3 wines.
We have 3 wines. And tell us why they're dry. They're all vinified dry, so they're not sweet. Tell us why.
That's house style. It's a good reason. So my father started and almost only made dry wines, and that's what I still do today. So the 3 wines we'll be tasting are dry, are all based on limestone, and are really representative of what we do today.
Great. So let's start with, we'll start with the par, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as you saw, yeah, you saw it on the labels. We have a special kind of naming of our wines, and par, deux cépages. Par means a pear in German or Alsatian, and it's a blend of 2 grape varieties. And here indeed it's a blend of Pinot Blanc and Auxerrois.
Okay. There's a question here. What does it mean to write reserve on an Alsatian label?
There's no official meaning of reserve. Often it's been a wine that had been it's a higher cuvée in the range of the winemaker.
So it's generally accepted. It's not necessarily a governmental regulation.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So you have the wines with you too, right?
Yeah. Here's my
All right.
glass.
So this is
Cheers.
Santé.
Yeah.
Cheers.
So Par is our first wine in the line, and actually it comes from our oldest vines, planted by my grandfather and my father more than 50 years ago. And Pinot Blanc Auxerrois is a classic blend for the region that you, in most of the cases, find under the name just Pinot Blanc. But I wanted to just to be clear with me and my customers, and mentioning Auxerrois brings something, because Auxerrois brings also a new dimension in the wine. Pinot Blanc brings freshness. Auxerrois has is softer, is fruitier, and blending both makes really nice, appreciable wines, easy drinking.
Mm-hmm. I think this is interesting. We talked about earlier this week, or wait, what day is it? Last week. That in a blend, you can put on the labeling, because someone was asking about labeling, you can put whatever wine variety that you want, even if it's a blend in Alsace. You don't have to put all the components. So what's the percentage of Pinot Blanc versus Auxerrois in this wine?
Here it's about 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah.
But if you had more Pinot Blanc and less Auxerrois, but you wanted to label it Auxerrois, no problem.
If you want to label it Auxerrois, it has to be 100% Auxerrois.
Oh.
If you want to label it Pinot Blanc, doesn't matter. Could be 5.95, doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So normally in Alsace is stricter than the European rule.
Okay.
So in Alsace, when you have a name of the grape, it normally must be 100%.
Right.
Except Pinot Blanc, where it could be 9, 10, 5, 95.
That's kind of funny. Oh, interesting. This is a great wine. To me, it's got a little softness from the fruit on it, and it's got some really nice mineral, steely kind of qualities to it.
Yeah,
so good.
Those vine trunks are really big. Those Pinot Blanc vines are just great things, because they really just grow enough grapes to be ripe, and it gives really regular quality throughout vintages.
Oh, yeah, fantastic. Gorgeous wine. All right, let's move on to the next wine, shall we? Let's talk about the Berg Riesling.
Berg. So Berg in German means mountain, and here it comes from a plot called Auf dem Berg.
Okay.
And on this side, it's old limestone, old Muschelkalk, so like fossils, full of fossils on the subsoil.
So there's
and we have
property to it.
Yeah, it brings liveliness. And here we have 4 small plots on this side that we do in different tanks, and then we blend after fermentation.
Yeah, I definitely get less fruit on this, and it's more of that salinity, that minerality. My mouth is watering. This is begging for food so much.
It has this mouth feeling, which is almost a texture, kind of chalky.
Yep, very chalky. Yeah, I get that. Absolutely. Okay, and then we're going to the Mel blend, which, as I mentioned before, had been called Cuvée 8, but there was some confusion about Cuvée 8. So talk to us about that.
True. Because Cuvée 8 was a blend, and now the Mel is a blend of 4 grapes, and the 4 noble grapes that Alsace has, and those are Riesling, Pinot Gris, Gewürztraminer, and Muscat. And calling it Cuvée 8 was related to me being the 8th generation, but people were confused because why 8? If they didn't read the back label, they were just confused. So we changed the name.
You could have called called it Cuvée 1 because you're the first woman winemaker in your
Could
family.
have been.
Make it
But
really
I think,
confusing.
but yeah, now it's meant for Mélanie and mélange, because mélange means blend in
Very
French.
good. All right, well, as this is lunch with Alsace, and we did talk about food pairings last week, but I made a couple of things that I want you to, you know, take me through, maybe tell me which wine it works better with. Okay?
Yeah.
So
for what do you have?
Let me show you. I have a goat cheese. This is Humboldt Fog from California, and I have prosciutto.
Okay.
So which one do I have with which?
So the goat cheese will pair with. So I have to have to go with the three things. I
have one more food item. I have one more food item.
Okay.
I made crab balls. With crab.
Crab. Okay.
So
good.
I have crab. It's lightly fried crab, so it's a ton of crab on the inside, and I do have a sriracha aioli. So you have the sweet and kind of salty and crunchy, and then spicy as well with the crab, and then you have the tangy, creamy goat cheese, and then the salty prosciutto.
Perfect. So Ario, the first wine par will pair with the goat cheese.
Okay, cool. And there's a little sweetness. This is an almond cracker, so there's a little sweetness on that.
Okay. That should work. Because par has this precision and the freshness needed with goat cheese.
The goat cheese and the sweetness of the almond cracker bring out a bit more of that fruit, actually.
Okay.
It makes it really, really nice.
Really interesting.
That surprises you?
No, because I mean the par has this. It's 21, so 21 is a vintage with lots of freshness. The harvest was quite late, and we have lots of fruit and precision in aromatics, and so it's that works. That works.
What about the prosciutto?
Riesling.
The Riesling. So I think I lined these up the right way. All right, I'm gonna try that.
Because the minerality of the Riesling should work with the saltiness.
You should be enjoying this with me.
Yeah, it's a goûter here. Goûter time.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah, because when you have a wine that has this really, which is more on minerals than on organic, then you should go for rather a dried ham than a fresh ham. Yeah.
And so you were also saying that the reason why I got the ham was because you were saying that some of the Alsace cuisine is what goes really well with the Riesling. So what type of cuisines, you know, your general cuisine is in Alsace?
In Alsace, it's not a light type of cuisine, I would say. We eat quite a lot and a lot of pork. Like everyone knows probably choucroute, sauerkraut.
Yeah.
And so that's the perfect match with Riesling, for instance, because you have the acidity of the cabbage plus the acidity of the Riesling that cuts into the fatness of the meat. You also have other parts like Bäckerofe, which is different types of meats with potatoes always, and marinated into wine. So that works definitely also very well with Riesling.
Perfect. Okay, I have the Mel, and I'm going to go into my little croquette crab ball.
Yeah. Mel, this wine has the big asset of being really universal. as it is a blend, it has different layers, and also a texture that has the backbone of acid. It's fat. It has more aromatics than a pure Riesling because you have Muscat and Gewürztraminer, and so
that sounds just the crab alone. Because there's a little bit of salt on the outside. I'm going to give myself some props. I actually made these from scratch this morning.
Okay.
So I got up early to do this. But I put a little salt on the top of it right after I got it out of the fryer. And so the sweetness of the crab went really nicely. And it brought out more of the floral characteristic, maybe of that Gewürztraminer, you know. But
yeah, true.
But I'm going to try it with the Sriracha aioli and see how this goes. A little spicy.
Yeah, Alsace wines, actually there's no, I have a friend who says, a producer, she says there's no food that doesn't pair with Alsace wines, because Alsace has so many different styles, many different types of soils, different styles of sweetness, of aromatics. You can pair everything with Alsace wine.
Spice, it's killing it with that wine. So good. So good. Oh my gosh. Next level.
Excellent.
All right, Matt, you heard it.
Good
you
on
heard
you.
it first. You
have cooked this.
You gotta have sriracha and crispy crab balls and with them now.
It will be my next advices for customers.
Yes, perfect. All right, so speaking of customers, can you tell everyone where we can get your wine? Where is it distributed? Is it available to consumers? Is it only a restaurant wine? Like, how can we taste these amazing wines?
Actually, we have a great importer who distributes all over the US. It's Ep18 Imports, and they do have distributors. And if you want to have specific addresses of retail or restaurant, just write them an email and they will be happy to answer you.
So it's called again Vineyard 59.
Vintage. Vintage 59 Imports.
Good. Vintage 59 Imports. I'm assuming they have a website. You can contact them.
Yeah. They're on Instagram too.
I will tell you, right before this, I had a wine director from New York City send me a private message and said, hey, I can't be there for the live, but I love her and I love her wines. And are they distributed in New York City? So here you go. Yes, they are. Fantastic. Wonderful. All right. So one of the things that I think is really cool about your experience too is that, you know, you live in Alsace, you grew up in Alsace, this is your family heritage, you're still there. You know, a lot of Americans, we move all around the country, people moved in the pandemic, you know, people left cities, people moved to cities, I moved to the country, you know, like everyone's all over, we're all scattered, but you're there, you're still in that region. What makes Alsace so special for you?
Alsace is a special ambience. So everything is part of a special feeling. So first, the countryside. The countryside in Alsace, the beauty of the scene is just amazing. When you see vineyards, the diversity also of culture. People have a great humanism too. So it's strong. I told you the history here was quite tough, and people kept strong and still have a great identity. Alsatians are strong people with character. They're also really on being good producers. So in Alsace, more than 1/3 of the vineyards are turning or are converted into organic. So they really take care of environment, and that's in our veins. That's really part of us. And of course, when you generally in France, when you have a wine region, you also eat well. That's the case in Alsace. So yeah, everything should just convert to move to Alsace and at least to visit us.
Oh, well, yes. Yes. I'm excited. I'm going to come visit.
You'll be welcome.
Yes. Fantastic. Oh, that's so wonderful. So, Melanie, I want to thank you so much for joining me for my lunch today, because you just saw my lunch, and sharing your wines and sharing your history and your family and the creation, the passion of, and in your creation of these wines with us. That's so wonderful. And yes, like if you get a chance to go to Alsace, hit us up. Let us know. We want to get you in to see Mélanie and see how she makes her amazing wines and get a taste and a feel of that passion and that culture. And that's so important in this culture and why we do the things that we do. So you definitely want to experience. So I hope that everybody is having a fantastic Monday. I hope you're enjoying a delicious glass of Alsatian wine. If you're not as lucky to me as I am to have one of Melanie's wines, maybe we'll get them soon. Please be sure to follow along on IG at Drink Alsace to see what is the next Lunch with Alsace. It should be coming next month. Normally it's on a Monday. Normally it's at noon. So clear your schedules. And also to find out why Alsace rocks, check out www.alsacerocks.com for more amazing information on Alsatian wine. And again, if you want to know where Melanie's wines are distributed in your state, go to
Vintage 59.
Vintage 59. I was almost going to say Vintage 59, and find out where you can get them. Until now, Millie, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to chat with you and enjoy your amazing wine.
Thanks, Carrie.
So much.
And please, anyone, if you get a chance to come to Alsace, my colleagues and me will be happy to welcome you. Alsace Wine Road is one of the most magnificent thing in France, so you'll be welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, happy International Women's Day and happy National Women's History Month. And I hope everyone has a fantastic spring and enjoys great Alsatian wine. Thank you so much, Mélanie. Cheers, everybody. Take care.
Santé.
Santé.